Hey guys, when you press the power button on your computer, what you've essentially done is you've started the boot process on that computer. Now, what is a boot process? A boot process is the process of starting a computer to the point where it can be used. Now, when you press the power button on that computer, what it does is it goes into its read-only memory because that's the only part it can access. And from that read-only memory or ROM, it executes a program called BIOS or Basic Input Output System. This BIOS has two functions. First, it does a system integrity check, which means it goes and checks all the hardware that it's available and it's working. And then it finds the MBR or master boot record in either USB, CD or hard drive and then loads that into the main memory or your RAM. Now this MBR is located in the first sector of the bootable disk, and it is a small program, only 512 bytes in size, and the only functionality it has is it loads a bigger bootloader called GRUB or Grand Unified Bootloader. Now this GRUB loads the kernel into the main memory. Now in case you have multiple operating systems installed on your computer, this GRUB will also show you a splash screen which will ask you to choose which operating system you want to load, and based on your choice will load that particular kernel. For example, if you have CentOS and you have Ubuntu installed on your machine, GRUB will show you a splash screen asking, do you want to load CentOS or do you want to load Ubuntu? And let's say if you've chosen Ubuntu, it will go and fetch the Ubuntu kernel and load it into the memory. Now kernel is the lowest level of software installed on your machine, and this is the part that's called Linux. And once it's loaded, it initiates various drivers. So for example, it will initiate the network driver, etc. And it also executes the first program on your system. Now in the older systems, it will execute a program called Init, and in the newer systems it executes a program called System.d. Now Init runs some initialization scripts that are available in /etc/rc star.d, and what this rc means is it has various run levels which are from 0 to 6, where 0 means halt and 6 means reboot, and then you have multiple user modes, single user mode, etc. And in those run levels, it has some programs which have a prefix. If those programs have a prefix of S, that means those programs will be started up when the Linux system is booted. So for example, if you want your web server to be started at the boot after the system is booted, automatically you'll have that with an S inside a run level, and K is for kill. Now what I've done is I've included a link with this video which gives you more information about what the various run levels are. Now let's move on to System.d. System.d is the newer way of managing your system resources. Now System.d specifies the resources as units, and these units are resources that the system knows how to operate and manage. So for example, your applications installed on your system, your devices, etc. There are 11 different types of units, from service to socket, device, and then your mounts, which are your file system mounts in /etc/fstab file, auto mounts that are automatically mounted, swap space, target, which is for synchronization between various units, path, timer to specify which unit will be started when, snapshot, which is executed by systemctl space snapshot command, and it basically takes a state of the system and creates a snapshot from it, so you can restore the snapshot or the state of that system through that snapshot, and slice and scope. Now the benefit of using systemd is that you can have dependency mappings. For example, let's say you've got a web server. Now that web server is servicing clients, and to communicate with each client, that web server opens up a socket. Now that web server will be running as a service on your system. So which means for the web server to run, it needs a service, and once the service is up, it can open up a socket to communicate with the client, which means socket has a dependency on the service of web server. So you can have those service mappings or unit mappings for dependencies between various units. Now you can also have templates to create multiple instances of the same general unit. You can easily secure your system using security hardenings, because units can implement some good security features by adding simple directives. For example, you can specify that nobody will be able to access a particular part of your file system, and then that's how you can secure a part of your file system which has some crucial data. So systemd is the newer method of managing resources on your system. Now, just to recap, once the system loads, it loads BIOS from the ROM, and the BIOS is responsible to load MBR or master boot record. MBR loads a bigger bootloader called GRUB, and GRUB loads the kernel based on your choice, or if there's only one kernel installed, then it will load the default kernel. Kernel can then execute either init or systemd. Init has 7 run levels from 0 to 6, and programs that start with a S in a run level are startup programs. Systemd consists of units, and there are 11 different types of units. Systemd is used in the newer distributions and is the newer way of managing resources on your machine. With this, we've come to the end of this lecture. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye.